Hey, everyone. My name is Naomi Empowers, and I'd like to welcome you here to the Naomi Empowers show. As you can see, it looks a little bit different today. I've got a couple of visitors. Can you come here, please? I wanted to formally introduce you all to my babies, who are here reluctantly.
Very.
Say hello. Come on. Say hello. What's your name? And tell them your name.
My name is Rianne.
And my son has just crawled out of the room, so it is what it is. Whatever. Anyway, now that we've got that done, look, people are saying hello to you guys, and you guys have run away. Aaron, come and say hello to the people. It's not nice what you're doing. Sorry,
we're fine, Aaron. It's fine.
All right, go. Off you guys go then. Go. You had your chance, so don't come in here again for this whole thing. Anyway, yes, Shay is right. He has left the building indeed. And Phoebe says, hey, kids. Listen, anyway, so welcome to the Naomi Empower Show. We do this, we have been doing this every Sunday evening for the last, 18 weeks or so now, every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. And it's really an opportunity to connect with some incredible entrepreneurs from around the world and get to know about what their most valuable life lessons are. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook, please do go ahead and press that share button. We got a special edition today. We're switching it up. We're doing things a little bit differently. We want to make sure that as many people get to view this as possible. In fact, let me not be a hypocrite. Let me go and press my share on my Facebook right now, even. And for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, don't forget to press subscribe and to ring that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we go live with new content on this channel. So, let me, before I even go any further, you all should recognize this face. He was one of my fabulous guests some weeks ago, and we are joined by none other than Mr. Paul Boldo. Hey, Paul.
Hey, girl. And that's where it begins, right?
Right. So listen, I just wanted to let everyone know I am as sick as an old dog right now.
Ooh.
I am suffering. My children have been off school for how long now? I think it's like a couple weeks. And they've been unwell. They, as usual, when they're sick, they're all over me, particularly clingy, and they have given me their germs. And so whatever they had, now I have it too. So this is a struggle right now. I've been in bed literally all day.
It was a struggle to begin with, to be fair, right?
It was a struggle to begin with. Actually, I was initially dreading this. I didn't want to do this. So it was initially a struggle. Then I felt ill, and it became even more of a struggle. Yeah, but hey, and then I've also heard now that their school has been closed for 2 more weeks due to confirmed cases of COVID, and so there's a good chance I reckon I might have it now. To be honest, I do think I've got it. I'm just being honest. I think I must have it. Anyway, we are. I'm excited to be with you all again. This is our season finale. This is the last time we're going to be doing this for some time now. I think we've had a good run in it, Paul. 18 solid weeks. We've had a good run. Now it's time to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll be back with some fresh ideas and some, a fresh vibe, and we're going to work on that. But for now, we are going to be wrapping it up this week. And so, as you know, as I announced last week, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. And for those of you who are watching us, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, please don't be afraid to pop in and say hi. Leave your questions, leave your comments, get involved. And so at this point, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand you over to my good friend, Paul.
Hello. Tell us your initial thoughts about being on the other side of the kind of coin, if you like.
Well, just give me a second. Let me just close this door because these children, I don't want them to think this is a license to come in and out.
Feel free to write your questions in the side, and I'm going to ask Naomi at some point throughout this conversation.
What are my initial thoughts about being on the... So, okay, honestly, I'm I'm not the, what's the word? I'm not overly enthusiastic I wasn't overly enthusiastic about doing this, but I had a number of people come and request and say, we want to hear your story too. We want to hear from you. So I decided that, okay, we'll go for it. And then I thought, you know something, I want this to be the year where I'm starting to say yes to a lot more things that I would have normally been afraid of or a little bit apprehensive about. And so I've eventually come around to the idea. So yeah,
Sure.
I'm all right for now.
So how old are you now?
I'm 33. I'm very proud of my age. I'm not one of those women who say, oh, don't ask a woman her age. I am 33. I was born on the 28th of May, 1987.
Okay, right. 87.
87, yes.
So that means that if you're starting to say yes now at 33, what were you saying before?
I was making excuses. 100%. And I was making excuses because I was afraid of what other people would think. So, you know, I had a chat earlier on with Ray Patrick on the Ray of Hope show. And I was saying to him that when it came to me putting myself forward and being the person who I am, I would be thinking, gosh, what is Paul going to think if I have the audacity to say that I'm a coach? What is Shay going to think if I have the audacity to say I'm a consultant? I was a prisoner of my own mind, and I would allow the fear of what other people would think hold me back from stepping into my greatness.
Let's go back to the beginning.
All right.
So, one of 3 kids, right?
I am. Firstborn.
Firstborn. Do you know what they say about the firstborn?
What do they say?
Well, you're the one that gets to make all the mistakes. I think the firstborn is generally probably the one that goes out there is probably a bit more apprehensive than the siblings. The siblings get to learn from you.
Yeah.
The firstborn isn't necessarily everything that they could be because it's hard. Yeah. So how was that with you and your siblings?
Well, now that you actually say it, I think I was quite a bold child. I wasn't afraid when I was a child. I would step out. I had a lot of confidence as a child. I can't think about when these feelings of, you know, this whole imposter syndrome thing, I don't know when it first came about. But if I were to compare myself to my siblings, I was somewhere in the middle, if there's a scale.
Sure.
My youngest sister, Leah, was the wild, crazy one. And my sister, Danielle, in the middle, she was the one who was a little bit more shy, a little bit more reserved. But yeah, that's I think that's how I would describe us.
And so as you're growing up, did you know what you wanted to be?
No, yes, at first, I remember the first thing I ever wanted to be was a policewoman. Oh, Danielle agrees with me. She says agreed.
Well,
and she can't believe that about Leah. Yeah, Leah is the wild card. Leah is the more extreme version of me. If I would go this far, Leah's going all the way over there. So
am I the only one that knows that?
You must be. Rubbish, Shay. Rubbish. She's the wild one.
That's why we love Leah.
Sorry, what did you ask me, Paul?
You wanted to be a policewoman.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I wanted to be a policewoman because I used to watch The Bill. And I'm talking about The Bill where the intro was just the feet. You could see the feet walking along that cobbled road. Yeah, that was, so I wanted to be a policewoman.
We remember those feet on The Bill.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember the music and everything. But then when I kind of grew out of that and I realized, God, I definitely don't want to do that. I was a bit lost.
Slow down. How old were you when you how old do you imagine you were when you wanted to be a policewoman?
Maybe about 8, 9, maybe 10.
So 8, 9, 10. and you wanted to be a policewoman based upon the bill.
Yes, that's the only reason. There was no other reason. I used to watch the bill and I decided that I was going to be a policewoman based on that.
There's a life lesson there for parents. What's the life lesson?
What you expose your children to, what they see, is ultimately going to be what they want to emulate. Perhaps. Could be one lesson.
Yeah, but that's still important. What have you exposed your children to?
A range of things. I think I've been quite intentional. You know, hey Melanie, thanks so much for tuning in. I get annoyed when people ask my children, what do you want to be when you grow up? I really get frustrated by that question. Max is saying the bill is the truth. Trust me, that was the show. I loved the bill growing up.
Is it even still on?
I don't know if it is. I will watch the reruns if it is. Happily. But yeah, I would get so annoyed when people would ask my children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because I believe that kind of forces children's minds into a certain way of thinking.
Right.
Whereas I will ask them, how do you want to live when you grow up? What type of life do you want to have?
Pause.
Go on.
Parents watching this, you might need to write that down. Another life lesson. What was it? What did you ask your children?
How do you want to live when you grow up? How do you want to be when you grow up? What type of life do you want to have? Not what do you want to be? Right. And that's primarily because I did not want to teach my children that they have to choose a particular career or they had to choose a job. I wanted to show them that there are other options, that they don't have to necessarily tie their passion to their source of income or source of revenue. I wanted to let them know that you don't have to think about necessarily being a teacher or a doctor or a cleaner or a nurse. You don't have to think about that. You could decide that you want to own a business. And so I try to expose them to different ways of living so that they see, they see their grandma start her own, business. Mum do it. They see their granddad in a different role. They see, their auntie, my younger sister Leah, she's on her way to becoming a barrister. They're seeing their other auntie Danielle, on her way to becoming a medical doctor. So they're seeing a range of things. And so
their mum being the entrepreneur, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and I show and I teach them about it. My children know the difference between profits and wages.
Come on.
I'm teaching them these things so that they make some choices, because when I was growing up, I didn't know that it was possible for me to do what I'm doing now. I didn't know, Paul. And so I was always told I have to find my one thing. So what I would do then is I would try this and then I would try that, but it didn't fulfill me because it didn't use all of what I had. And so I'd find myself frustrated. And I would find that I didn't really fit in any one box. And I was lost.
How many careers do you think you've had in you're 33 now, for the last, 13 years, whatever?
Gosh. So I qualified as a mortgage advisor. So I did a bit of that. I was selling insurance at one point. So I did a bit of sales. I was even selling funeral plans at one point. I did a bit of that. I did some teaching. It's not for me, guys. I don't know if it's nah. I take my hat off to teachers. That is
no children, no animal.
What? Oh God, no. That's too much. It's too much. So I did a bit of that. I was in the music industry. I did some background the background vocalist, session singing, tour management, artist management, stage management. Gosh, what else, Paul? You're probably going to know it better than me. I've done a whole lot of stuff.
In 13 years?
Yeah.
How do you make sense of that when you look back?
it's funny, actually. I talk to my clients about it now, more so my students now, because I'm lecturing now as well. And I say to my students that if you were to look at my CV, it doesn't make sense. I've got a bit of this and a bit of that. It's disjointed. It doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't quite fit together. But what I have been able to do is pick up skills from each of those experiences and fuse them together in order for me to be who I am today and to be able to offer what I'm able to offer today to my clients and to my students. So I said that to them so that they will understand. Don't put yourself under pressure to know what you want to do now. That's what I thought I had to do. Listen, Paul, I went to college and I was doing A-levels in bloody sciences, biology, chemistry.
I remember that.
Do you think I was interested? I wasn't interested in that. I was not remotely interested in that. But I believed I needed to be a doctor because smart people went to medical school and became doctors. So that's what I had to do. I had zero interest. Zero.
Could you do it?
If I wanted to.
Chemistry, fine. So you could do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I hated it. It was so boring. So
then after your A-levels, then what?
I went to uni. I went to uni a few times.
Really?
I tried a few times. So the first time I went to uni, I applied to do herbal medicine. You might not remember, Paul, I was at Westminster University for 1 year. I did herbal medicine for a year because that's something I was genuinely interested in. I wanted to become a naturopathic doctor. And that came about because when we were growing up, I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you. They always used to call me the witch doctor. People call me the witch doctor, yeah. When I was growing up, we had lots of fruit trees in our garden. And one time, because I'm the eldest, I'm the big sister, I was often left in charge. So my parents went out, left me to look after my sisters. And I think it was Danielle, if you're still on here, was it you who was sick? I think it was Danielle who was...
No to the witch doctor, please.
I think it was Danielle who was vomiting. She just wouldn't stop vomiting. She vomited about like 11 times in a really short space of time. And I was freaking out like, oh my gosh, my parents are not here. This girl is being sick all over the place. What am I going to do? So in my innocence, Danielle said you don't remember. In my innocence, I ran up to my dad's study and I took out a book called Back to Eden. By Dr. Jethro Kloss.
Yes, 70 Bible.
Right. And I looked at the back where it said nausea, and it listed a whole load of different herbs you could use, and I didn't know what any of them were. I didn't know if we had it or not. Then it said the leaves from a peach tree. We had a peach tree in our garden, Paul, growing up. I ran out to the garden. I picked some leaves from that peach tree. Yeah, look, just innocent. I could have killed a child, right? I could have killed her.
I hope you watch the leaves.
Who knows? And it told me to chop it up and to put it in, boil the kettle and boil it up. And I gave it to her to drink, and instantly she stopped vomiting. Instantly, and that sparked my interest in alternative medicine. But it wasn't developed very well in this country as yet. So they were just trying a thing with the course. And I decided, nah, I can't do this. This is not
what happened.
After that, I dropped out, much to the displeasure of my parents, I might add. Hold on, I'm just bringing this up. Shay, I don't understand how you could not have heard of Back to Eden. Please.
She's not real 7 days.
No, you're not. No. Fake.
Yeah.
This makes sense. Right. Yes, charcoal time. That's right. After that, I was at home for a long time. I was at home with my dad because that time my dad was, a church pastor. So he was at home during the day a lot. And he was getting on my case. What am I going to do? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing? What am I doing? And I found a course to become a mortgage advisor. And so I figured, you know what? I've got my cousins, my big cousins, who I would call uncle, are in property. They're all property millionaires. They don't work a normal job. This is just what they do. So you know what? Let me go and do this. And I'm going to see if I can get into the business with them. So I went, I did the course, and you had to do however many exams. I think I did the first one, and I said, oh, this is long. I'm not doing it. My dad was fuming. Yeah, he paid for that course.
Yeah, I remember that because that was big money.
Yes, he was fuming, and I dropped out. I dropped out again.
Emmanuel.
Sorry, Dad.
Did I say it out loud? Oh my days.
And I remember he said to me one day, "You've got no staying power. You start something and then you just give up. You got no staying power." And I thought, oh yeah. What? And Paul, that was my motivation. The fact that he told me I have no staying power, I had to prove him wrong. And so who went and smashed all the exams and made sure she got that certificate to say certified mortgage advisor. That's what I did. Just because he told me I had no staying power.
But then you were like that from when you were younger,
Go on.
You were the type of child that you tell you not to do something. I either had to persuade you with every fiber of my being and every example and every inquisitive question you would come out with, Rianne,
Right.
to have to explain to you why, and you would still go and do it if you thought you should.
Yeah.
What about those people that are not like that? What about those people that are not like that? Who all they heard, if they heard from their parents, you've got no staying power, all you do is start and you never finish. What happens with them?
That can become like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I guess this is why also I think we need to know our children and be mindful about the words we say to them and be aware of what sort of impact it could have. Say that again.
Another life lesson.
Yeah. If I were the type of child to internalize that sort of message and think, gosh, it must be true, then I think I would be in a very different place today. But I think it's because, as the Dream Days Network is saying, challenge accepted, bring it on, let's go. Yeah. That's why I was, and I think my dad must have known that about me.
Maybe, yeah.
I think he could well have known that. Well, no, by then he definitely knew that I would be the person to do the opposite of what I was told. I think he had enough experience, of me by then to know that just because you tell me something doesn't mean that that's what it is. I will challenge, I will push boundaries.
Okay, so you've done the mortgage advisor certificate, you've got that. What's your next career move? Gosh,
what did I do after that?
Wasn't that the music after that? Or music was going on in the background behind
music was going on. Music was the consistent thread from I was 16. I remember the first, this was, do you know what? The first gig or session I ever did, I was 16 years old. Shay, I've tried to convince him. He says, no, he's not coming on. He said, no, he ain't coming on. He told me no, I'm afraid. I remember the first, I'm sure you were there as well, Paul. It was I got it through Kingdom Choir with Karen Gibson. And it was to do the soundtrack for that film, Amazing Grace.
Yeah, I was there.
And I remember I was 16 years old, Paul, and I was gassed that I could earn £1,000 in one day from singing Who's and Ours.
Is that how much we got paid?
We got paid £1,000. Listen, that was my first session, Paul. I was never forget that. What? Yeah, Tia knows. This is my best friend. She knows. Music was always.
Yeah.
That was the first one. So music was consistent.
And then what happened after that? After the certificate, what happened then?
I think I went back to now. My parents were like, "All right, oh yes, Phoebe, thank you for reminding me." We had the Shabak singers. We started a choir. We started like a 50, 60 strong choir from people from all backgrounds, all different religions. And we took them around the country singing. They were brilliant. Those were my babies. I remember that. Thanks, Phoebe. I forgot. After that, my parents were like, okay, now you need to go and get your degree. And so I decided that I would go and search for how can I do this degree in the shortest space of time possible? I don't even want to do the damn thing, right? I'm being paid big money. Yeah, I'm being paid big money now to sing and travel and go around the world. And Phoebe, we went to South Africa. We had some amazing times in music. But my parents were like, well, my dad more so was like, nah, you're gonna go and get your degree. Mm-hmm. And so I said, all right, I need to do this in the shortest space of time possible. Yeah. And I remember I found a degree in business management.
That's right.
That I could do three academic years condensed into 2 calendar years. Yes, I said, yes, right. That's the one I'm going to do. And that's what I did.
And did you complete it?
You should know, Paul. You helped me. You and my parents were like the stick beating my back to finish this damn degree. Yes, I completed it. Paul, you're mentioned in my dissertation.
Really?
Yes, you are. Thank Paul.
Let me ask you something. When you went to do the degree, did you know what you wanted to do then?
Yes. I knew I wanted to be in music. That's all I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in music. However, I figured that if I limited myself to a music degree, because that's what I started a music management degree. But I figured if I just pigeonhole myself in this field, that could be problematic for me in the future. Mm-hmm. I thought it'd be better for me to do something that was a bit more broad, a little more general, that I would be able to take the lessons from to then kind of put onto any industry I chose to go into. So I switched from music management to straight business management. So, but I still wanted to do music at that time.
Sure. But I think it was about not being overly specific in one area and being able to spread it, right?
Yes.
Cool. So what happened after that?
What did I do after that? I would say shortly after that, I was pregnant with baby number 1. Yes, we did. Yes, we definitely did. We did do some music events thing. Everything was music. Music was the main attraction. That was my first love. Yeah, baby number 1 came.
And what happened?
And music stopped. I decided that I didn't want to be one of those mums who would leave the baby at home and go on tour. I didn't want that. I wanted to be present for my children, for my daughter at the time. It was just baby. It was only one baby then. And so yeah, I stopped with the music. In fact, I was maybe 3 months or so pregnant, and I remember I was at a gig, and I'm sure it was Phoebe, and I want to say Yolanda Brown. Phoebe, was that the gig? I think it was a Yolanda Brown gig, I think, and I'm sure Phoebe was there. And I remember Trevor Williams, he was asking me about doing something else, and I told him no, and he was asking me why. He didn't understand. And I just took his hand and I put it on my tummy. And then he was like, oh, that's why.
You see, now I'm trying to get to something here, because I think there's another life lesson, is that there are moments in your life when you've made all of these individual choices. And you couldn't see where it ended up.
No.
But all of the sum of all of these parts would eventually create where you are now.
Yes.
But you spoke about having some kind of imposter syndrome at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And weren't you living the imposter? By virtue of the fact that you were starting, stopping, not entirely sure what you wanted to do, but everything you felt you could do, and you went into it with, like I know, with vigor and verve, you
Yeah.
know, and passion. And
Yeah.
Paul, I'm really clear, this is what I want to do, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So how do you make sense of that then? How do you make sense of, even though in hindsight we can see how it makes sense, but during that time there must have been things going on for you?
I think now you're making me think about it. I think I chose things that were easy. I think I chose things that didn't challenge me too much, that didn't push me too far out of my comfort zone. I chose things that were safe for me, that were comfortable for me, so that I wouldn't run the risk of failing. So, for example, transitioning from singing on stage to running things behind the scenes, that was a move because I hated being asked to do solos. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to make myself look stupid in front of however many thousands of people. And so I would pivot. And I'm recognizing this now. Then, Paul, and you know me, I would have given you a damn good reason as to why it made sense for me to switch. But I think really it was that imposter syndrome, and it was, you know, as my mum would say, I didn't sell my shame ticket. So I can't take the shame. So before I embarrass myself, let me move to something else and do just a little bit there. Let me just do a little bit here. And then what you guys are starting to put pressure on me. You want more from me? All right, let me move on. Let me do something else. Because it's in that safe band of mediocrity. That's where I would stay. Staying in one place too long would mean that I would have to force myself to go towards level of mastery, levels of excellence. But that was too scary. So let me stay here in that little band. I'm going to stay among this little place right here. And everyone else could see the potential. But just when it's about to burst through, oh, guys, shiny object syndrome. Something else is over here. Off I go.
The new shoes.
Yes.
Great for the new shoes.
Yes. Yes.
Isn't that when it's so funny, you know, we can look back and make sense of some of that stuff. But when we're going through it, the one thing that I will always remember is your ability to sell me the solution. And it got more and more increasingly difficult because you became more and more skilled at communicating, right? So at some point, I'd have to stop talking and be listening out for the key. What is that thing that says to me, it's just easy and all she wants to do is that? And I remember thinking it.
Really?
Especially when you went to do your MBA.
Okay, go on.
I remember the conversation we had where you were talking about the fact that you wanted to go and do this MBA and describing it. And yet, even though you were describing wanting to do this MBA, there was part of you that always wanted it to be easy. Didn't want it to be too hard. I could just go in and they better not ask me to do, and we better not have blah, blah, blah. And I'd be listening, thinking, can this woman not understand how great she is? Because I knew anything you'd put your mind to, you'd be able to do. I knew that. And I knew it would be easy for you. I always knew it. Because you could do it. That's why you could do everything from geography, physics, biology, and all of those things, all the way to music, all the way to business, because that's what you do. So I'm wondering what the life lesson is for you there. Because your mouth, yeah.
What's the life lesson? I think the life lesson there is about self-awareness. I do have a mouth on me, and I can convince probably almost anyone of anything. But the danger will come if I'm not self-aware enough to know the truth for myself first. Because here's the reality, Paul. I can lie to you all day long. I can lie to Phoebe all day long. I can lie to Philip all day long. But the real crime is if I'm lying to Naomi.
Yes. Because
then I miss it. Then if I buy into the stories that I'm telling everyone else and I'm... Phil, yeah, that's exactly what we always say, the gift of gab.
It's true. It's true.
If I'm constantly on the defensive, like I'm, Paul is going to challenge me, I've got my rebuttal before he can even open his mouth, and I will say it with so much vigor, I actually now believe it myself, even though he may be calling me out on my own nonsense. The danger is if I fail to recognize that I'm avoiding something or I'm playing into my fears, then I remain trapped in that mediocrity. Could be one of the lessons.
But then you weren't even happy with the mediocrity, were you?
No, it was the most frustrating
thing.
It's a weird, it doesn't even make sense, because internally I will consider myself as great. Yeah. But I don't want you to think that I think I'm great. So I will dim my light. I will kind of, stay a little bit low so that I fit it. I make it comfortable for everyone else. I don't want to come across as a show off. I don't want to say I can do A, B, C, and D when you maybe only have your one thing. So as to make you feel more comfortable, I will bring myself down to fit in there as well. So the mediocrity was frustrating, but it was also a source of comfort. That's where it was safe.
And it's where we lived, right?
Sorry?
That's where we lived.
Yes.
We lived in mediocrity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The things that I am doing now, the things that I will go on to do, this is not new. And I'm not saying this to boast or to show off, but there are certain people who may see how I'm acting now, what I'm doing, and think, oh my gosh, wow, guys, this isn't wow. Like this has been a long, long time coming. So there are some people who think, oh God, finally, like what the hell? And you will be among that number. Shay will be among that number. Phoebe, I'm sure, will be among that number. Whereas I've only very recently, as in probably in 2020, have been able to finally break free of that mediocrity.
Young people, 17, 18, 19, who might be watching this now or on the replay or whatever, what words of advice would you have for them? 17, 18, 19, maybe at uni, maybe didn't go to uni, blah, blah, blah. What kind of advice?
Number one, don't put yourself...
Oh, you go and get your pen.
Number one, don't put yourself under the unnecessary pressure of thinking that you have to have it all figured out at 18. You may not have gotten the grades to get into uni. So what? You may be in uni and you may be failing. So what? You may be in uni and you may be smashing it. So what? In the grand scheme of things, it means very little. If you were to be cultivating anything in this time, what it should be is that belief in your own self and in your own abilities, is that building up of your own self-esteem and of your own feelings or sense even of self-worth. because it's that, I believe, will be the foundation that carries you. Paul, I got my degree. I got, and I got, this is funny, actually. I remember I was marks away from a first class honors degree.
Yeah.
But Paul, I didn't care that because it didn't mean anything. Oh, yeah, so what? Yeah, my parents have a certificate that they can put up on their wall. They got the picture with the little hat. Oh, yeah, our daughter has a degree. Well, what do you do? Who cares? Like, whatever. But that is not, but despite having this piece of paper, that did not fill the void that was inside. I went on to do my master's, Paul. Again, Paul, you definitely know that halfway through I gave up. This was like, oh, whatever. I don't really care. I think for semester 2, I didn't even go. I probably went to uni twice for semester 2, but I still was able to graduate at the top of my class. But even that, it didn't mean anything. It wasn't of any great importance. It didn't fill the void because I recognized now that all of these certifications and all of this external validation did nothing for what my real need was. Mm-hmm. And so this is why I say to the 17, 18-year-old, 19-year-old who's coming up, focus on what's really important. The most important thing is what you think and feel about your own self. And it doesn't matter if everyone else around you is telling you you can and that you're brilliant and that you're skilled and you're gifted. If you fail to internalize that, you will forever be doing things to seek that external validation, to get that pat on the back from someone who maybe you respect or that you love, thinking that that's going to fill the gap. But that's not it. That's not it. It's not it. And I can say that now because I look at who I am today compared with who I was, let's say 10 years ago when I did my first degree. And I'm a completely different person.
No.
But it's not the certificates that made me different, Paul.
No, it's not.
Because even after I got the bachelor's, no change. I was still doing that jumping. Yeah. I got the master's. I was jumping. Yeah, I was jumping. It hasn't been as many jumps because it hasn't been as long a time. Everything changed when I decided that enough was enough and I had to be me unapologetically. That's when it all changed.
Were you ever a shy kid then? Well, there must have been part of you.
Yes, no? I became shy. I remember I remember when I was really young, like I sometimes watch videos of myself and my sisters when we were young, and I was the one, making up songs with a little microphone and singing away. And that was me. But then that little girl, I don't know, she went into a shell. Oh, hey, auntie. That's my auntie from New York. Hey, Auntie Patsy.
Yeah. Something happened. What happened as a little girl then?
What happened? I think. Okay. I think, and this is something that I spoke about in the first book that I wrote and got in a whole lot of trouble for. I wrote a book called You Can't Put a Condom on Your Heart. Remember that one, Paul?
I remember that.
I got in so much trouble.
Oh my God.
I got in so much trouble. But there's a part of that book that I want to focus on, that I think explains some of the reason for my shrinking. So my dad is from Ghana. My mom is from Grenada. Culturally, they are very, very different. Oh gosh. Yeah, Phoebe remembers. Dream Days Network still has it on the Kindle. Gosh, we need to get rid of that, guys. Anyway, I'm going to republish it. I'm going to do it properly and I'm going to bring it back. But there's a chapter in the book where I talk about daddy issues. And being open and see, I grew up with both my mum and my dad in the home. So, you know, on paper, I had it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, went to private school and, you know, grew up in the church and, you know, it was all, it looked good. It looked good, right? But again, I was a child and I had a childish mind and I misconstrued things. So let's go back to the cultural differences. So my mum is coming from one culture. My dad is coming from a different culture. My mum had, I would say, a pretty rough upbringing as a child. But her rough upbringing made her decide that she will never be like that with her own children. So was the polar opposite with us, which meant that mum was so lovey-dovey all over us, hugging, very tactile, always articulating how much she loved us. Whereas my dad, I feel, had a similar upbringing, but did not, again, I don't know, nature, nurture, I don't know which one it is, but he wasn't like that. So he wasn't very tactile and very, you know, words of affection. He didn't show love like that. But because that's how my mum showed love, I think in many ways I assumed, I always knew that my dad loved me. Always. Yeah. Always. That was never, ever, ever a question. But I didn't think he liked me. There was a period of time where I didn't think he liked me very much because he wasn't, I noticed that he wasn't tactile, whereas my mum was very tactile. And I think that must have had something to do with me wanting to like get that approval or get that, I don't know. I don't know how to articulate it. I think maybe I wanted that from him. And which is crazy now, because if you see him with my children, like it's like night and day, honestly.
Do you think that contributed to the shrinkage?
I do. Yeah, I do.
And what period of time did that shrinkage go on for?
That was at a pivotal point in my life. So I would say adolescence. And then that's also around the time when I met the children's father. And I think that our interactions also played a part in the shrinkage and in that feeling of you're a fraud, you're fake, you can't do this, who do you think you are? I think it also came out there.
What was the impact on
the
you?
impact was I didn't feel good enough. And not feeling good enough meant that subconsciously I would self-sabotage. I wouldn't give my best because I didn't think that I deserved the best. I would go so far, I might have a little bit more in me, but I'm not going to go that high because I don't want you to think that I'm going above my place. So I will shrink. There has to be a conversation to be had. And I know at this point I might have people screaming at me and all sorts of cussing, but I'm just going to be honest. There has to be a conversation around class in this as well. So there were certain things for me growing up that were normal, that for other people from different walks of life were not normal. So, let me give you an example.
Sure.
When I was growing up, and you know the whole thing about your first boyfriend or whatever, our families were so different. For me, growing up, if I didn't have any money, I could go to my dad and say, "Dad, can I have £10, please?" I would get the lecture or a sermon, even
a lecture of life,
a full sermon as to how he don't have money.
He do have money.
But afterwards, I would get the £10.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas his world wasn't like that.
Mm.
But I was not mature enough to get that. So I remember there was an argument, a falling out, because I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember jumping to the defense of my little sister.
Mm-hmm.
But really I was defending myself, because I felt that certain frustrations or anger was being projected onto her. But it's really me you're angry with, if you get what I'm saying. And it was because of her privilege that was being attacked. And I just thought, that isn't fair. It's not our fault that this is the way that we were raised. It's not our fault that we didn't struggle like that. So don't penalize me. Don't punish me for having the upbringing that I had. And so when you are almost the only one in your circle who has lived a certain type of life that no one else can seem to really relate to, that also then causes you to shrink, to fit in. I don't want you to think that I think I'm better than you. So let me come down a bit. I remember being not attacked physically, but I remember being attacked for using the type of language that I did. Don't talk like that. You think you're so smart. You think you're so this, or you talk like a white girl. No, this is just the way I talk. I don't think I'm anything. This is just how I talk. I've used this word because it sums up what I'm trying to say really well.
How about that?
I'm not trying to make you feel small, or I'm not trying to belittle you. This is just how I talk. But that was a problem. And that really contributed to the shrinking. And then when you have people in your life who you now love, right? You love these people or this person now. And then they tear you down and they cut you down and they tell you you're not special. You begin to internalize, or I began to internalize those voices rather than the voices of, let's say, people like yourself, Paul, or my parents, who would be singing my praises, who would be celebrating and applauding me. I couldn't hear that. I would more readily believe the negative.
Let's slow you down a little bit.
Slow me down. 1 second. Let me plug. My thing needs to charge. They pulled the plug out. These kids. Hold on. Oh gosh. Sorry. 1 second. I'm back.
So that shrinkage, the psychological impact of your story,
yeah,
to yourself, about other people's experiences of you, and so on. How did that impact who you chose? Yeah,
it's the wrong way round, Paul. It's the wrong way. It's the wrong way round. The choosing came first.
Explain.
I was young. So, okay, when I chose the person, I was early teens. That came first. We met 13, 14. Right? That came first. And it was the damage from that I think just compounded these feelings.
You see, there's something about, you were a child.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about one experience, because obviously it's a multiplicity of experiences, but you were a kid. And you may not have known how to articulate that to somebody, but I bet you wish you could have done.
Articulate what exactly? Articulate
some of your 13, 14-year-old story. I'm not entirely sure that I know he loves me, but I don't know that he likes me. Some of that to help you make sense, because those formative years and the story that you told yourself, felt, experienced, has now shaped, in part, a very different journey.
Yeah. And Paul, if I'm to be completely honest, I feel like I could articulate it. I think that I've been self-aware for a very long time. But I would also be very selective over who I would let in. So believe me, I could do the perfect pastor's daughter routine. I could do it right now. Like, do you know what I mean? I could do it. I could go into a church on a Sabbath morning with my dad, and I could be the perfect pastor's daughter. It's an act. I know how to do it, and I can do it very, very well. I'm just not prepared to do it. That's all it is. I'm aware, and I can so I will put on. I've got a different mask when I go into that environment, and I have to. Sometimes I will conform. I will be who you need me to be, just for peace sake. But now it's okay for me to do that because I know me, and so I can switch it on and switch it off.
Yeah.
Before, when I was doing it, I didn't know myself then, and so when I did that, I was lost. I was confused. Who the hell is this girl? I didn't know who I was.
There's another life lesson.
Huh?
There's another life lesson.
Go on.
You get to choose.
Yeah.
You genuinely get to choose.
You do. And we've got to give ourselves a bit more credit.
Yes.
We've got a lot more control than we think. Why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because there would only be, because I was surrounded, of course, and I know Phoebe saved me too. We've had a very similar upbringing. In fact, all three of us, very similar, all PKs. We know the deal. We know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because of that, having to put on an act and pretending and being who certain people needed us to be, there would be very few people who would see the real me. And so then being able to make yourself vulnerable and be real and be yourself, that would take a lot. My problem was that I perhaps didn't trust the right people. And so the people that I did then try to make myself vulnerable to, and I remember articulating what I had felt and what I had experienced and how that was impacting and affecting me. The person that I chose to articulate that to, who was the person who meant the most to me in the world at that point, they did not have the emotional intelligence to be able to handle that.
Yeah, sure.
So then it was thrown back in my face. And it was rubbished, basically. Which then compounded the feeling of, gosh, well, then there must be something really wrong with me. So I could articulate it. I had the tools to be able to. I think it was the people who I chose, yeah? And believe you me, this is not me trying to pass the buck. Like, I take full responsibility. I'm not the type of person you can force, Paul. You know, yeah? I'm not the type of person that you can force or bully to do something, because you're just going to make me dig my heels in. So every decision that I've made has been a conscious decision. No one held a gun to my head. I chose, yeah? So I take responsibility.
Go
on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, just in choosing who to make myself vulnerable to, who to open myself up to, meant that I also had to be prepared for what came back. And I wasn't prepared, and it knocked me for 6.
Have you forgiven yourself?
Yes, now I have. Yes. It took a long time. Years, Paul. There was a time where I would not be able to tell my story without being in floods of tears. And those tears were a mixture of hurt, anger, and disappointment in my own self. Because I was thinking, oh my God, you idiot. You idiot. How could you allow yourself to get into that position where you were so broken down by how could you do that? But I have forgiven myself now. And I have, it was a process, Paul. And it's one that I say I've forgiven myself, but I'm still dealing with the effects of it today. So, for example, you guys, well, I don't know if you saw my son because he ran away, that little rat. But my son is 6 years old. I have no memories of him for the first year of his life. None. I do not remember. And it's because I went through such a traumatic experience. I've suppressed these memories. And he's, and, you know, my son was born in the midst of all of it. So I see pictures or videos, and I know that's my baby because I can see his little face or his skinny little legs. But I don't remember. I don't remember at all. Yeah.
It's almost like the perfect storm, isn't it? That we end up living this perfect storm, and the impact of that perfect storm, you know, occurs for years and years later. What did it tell you about yourself? What messages did you learn about you as a result of all of those experiences up until after he was born?
I think one of the major lessons, this is something that I say, and I always quote you, because something that you would say to me a lot during these times. Naomi, you are not the Christ.
Yes. You cannot save everybody.
You are not the Christ.
That is not what you were put on the earth for.
Nah.
I'm
not here to rescue anyone. I'm not here to mend anyone.
You are not the mender of broken hearts.
No. No. Because in attempting to do that, I just cause myself more damage. And please, my words are intentional. I cause myself more damage. You can't, you, Paul, you don't cause me damage. I allow. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's me taking full responsibility, not blaming.
Do you think that there's a space for blame along the journey?
I think you can blame in a, what's the word? Okay. Blame, I don't know if it's the correct word I would use.
Sure.
But I think it's more about an acknowledgement of what it is. I can tell the truth. So people say, all right, look, there's three sides to a story. Your side, my side, and the truth. Oh, I love this girl. Now, and Althea, here's the thing, yeah. By virtue of who I am, I may do that, but that's not my mission. I don't go out of my way to try to mend you, or our relationship, our friendship is not based on Althea being broken, Naomi being whole, and Naomi being the one to fix. Any effect that we have on one another is because of the love that we share for one another.
Come on, talk it.
But it's not the basis. The mistake that I was making before is that the basis of some of my relationships were on rescuing, help, mending, fixing, repairing. And that's not what I can't do that anymore. I can't.
What was the... I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
Go on.
I just got a word in my ears. So what's the life lesson to people out there who are still along that journey of either discovering, rediscovering, or even the journey of becoming at peace with their past? You know, Nate, the point is, this might all sound very psychological, but it's how you made sense of your past experiences that is causing you, in part, to be the most amazing entrepreneur now, right?
It all counts.
It all counts.
And that's why I don't resent or
That's right.
despise my journey. I don't,
Right.
Paul.
Mhm.
I don't. There might, do you know what? There's things that I've gone through, there's things that I've experienced, there's things that I've done that people would believe, no way, she would never do it. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did. And I made a conscious decision to. But I don't despise my journey because, and I tell people all the time, all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, I embrace it all because it's made me who I am today. And this is why I don't have any malice in my heart against anyone who may have wronged me, because that part of my journey was necessary. I know me, Paul. Paul, I know me, I know me. And I know sometimes like you said, you know me as well. You know me for years. And if just because you tell me something doesn't mean that I'm going to do it.
Nope.
If I don't think that's what it is, then I'm just not going to. I will think that my way is better. And some cases I might be right. Some cases I might be wrong. So therefore, I had to go through certain things in order to learn. But what it's done, it's equipped me with the tools to be able to help someone else along that journey. And so for someone else who is along that journey, I would say that number one, if you're anything like me, trust the process. You're probably going to cry. You're probably going to endure some pain if you're like me. If you're like maybe my sister, Danielle, you're probably going to have it a lot easier. You're probably going to have it a lot easier because you will be able to learn from someone else's mistakes.
Yeah.
You'll be able to take Paul's word for it when he says, nay, don't go there. But if you're like me, or if you're like Leah, you're going to have to feel it yourself. You're going to have to go through it yourself. You're going to have the bruises and the scars yourself. But don't give up on you. Don't quit on yourself. There are people who will quit on you, who will count you out. But the lesson is, do not give up on yourself because it's coming together. You might not be able to see it, but those dots, they're going to start to connect. And when they do connect, oh my goodness, it's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. You are going to be just like awe-inspired over who you are, who you have become. And you'll be able to look back and say, it was worth it. But along the way, watch yourself. Don't get bitter. Don't allow resentment to set in, because that will ruin this recipe and it will become a recipe for disaster. You'll become a horrible person that no one will want to be around. So it's a fine balance of going through it and allowing yourself to go through the process, but also not becoming resentful and bitter at the same time.
Do you think you're healed?
Not fully, no. I think I am. I think healing is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
I think there are certain things about our experiences that affect us more than we know. And so we can think we're healed. Let me give you an example. And Phoebe, this week or last week, whenever it was, you contacted me, or I contacted you, or something. Yeah, you contacted me. You said you just felt like you needed to contact me. And I was having a really, really, really horrible day. And the reason, I haven't even told you the story yet, and I'll probably tell you later in full, but I got triggered, Paul. I got triggered. I got triggered, and it made me realize, no, I'm not healed, and that this is still affecting me. Someone did something. Someone took a course of action. Someone treated me in a certain way that reminded me of where I was coming from. And those feelings of inadequacy and self-worth, a lack of self-worth and a lack of self-esteem, and that feeling of not feeling or believing that I'm special began to come back in. And I started to think, hold on a minute. Have I got an overinflated view of myself and my worth? Am I being treated like this? Is this becoming a pattern because really I am worthless?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bit of a pity party.
How long for?
A day.
Mm.
It was a day.
What did the pity party look like?
The pity party looked like wanting to just lie in bed and cry and feel sorry for myself, but not being able to, or not feeling as though I was able to, because I didn't want my children to see me like that.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like going to my mum and dad's house and just going and lying down just to feel loved again.
Mm.
And I say that I say that because I think it's important to be honest and to be open that life happens to us, and and sometimes we can be traumatized and we think we've gotten over something, we think we've dealt with it and we put that away, but then something comes and triggers us and I'm like, oh no, that wound is still kind of sore, it's kind of tender. Maybe I had it covered so that no one could touch it, but then I moved my arm and someone got a jab in, and wow, you really hurt me and you brought me back to that place. So I would, before last week, I would have probably said, yes, I'm healed. But I know, not completely, no.
There's still a sensitivity, right?
Absolutely. And I don't know if I will ever get to the point where it is fully healed. In that, that's the wrong term. I don't know if it will ever not be sensitive. I don't know if it will ever not be sensitive. What that therefore means then is that now when it comes to my choice of a significant other, that person needs to have the emotional intelligence to be able to appreciate where I'm coming from and work with me on that process. And otherwise, it just won't work. Because here's the thing. Part of what would make someone love me is also, how can I say this? Part of all right, so I'm me, yeah, but I'm a full package. There's going to be certain things about me that you will be drawn to and that you will love about me. But those same things on the other side are things that might also infuriate you because of my previous brokenness. So you can't love one without the other. Can't. So either you can accept me at my worst when I am triggered, or you can't love me fully because that's still part of me.
But then there's also part of us that has to accept that that is who I am today.
Yeah.
And that because I am evolving, I'm also moving forward. And so I will evolve, though it's still sensitive. It may not be as sensitive next time.
No.
But it's sensitive right now. Yeah. And that's not how it's always going to be. And I don't need you to always, to cover me. And I don't need that.
Yeah.
But I'm learning. And I'm learning how to adapt and to deal with that sensitivity.
Yes.
It doesn't have the same issue.
Yes.
So you said that your recovery period was about a day.
Yeah, this time it was a day. I needed that day to just wallow and to just sit with it. I needed that.
How long would it have taken you before?
There are people on here who will know. I remember Tia. I remember I would turn up at her house and me, her kids, we'd all sleep in the same bed. when I needed to just get away and I needed a minute. And it could take weeks. It could take weeks. But I've got too much going on now, Paul.
Before you go into that, but the point is, Nay, even with the trigger, what used to take weeks now took you a day. Now that sounds like progress to me. Because you're still human.
Yes.
And there is still a sensitivity. I'm not hurting like it's like the wound is gaping.
Yeah.
But it's sensitivity.
It's
sensitivity.
But you know something, I found that, and I don't know, and I'll be honest, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I found that since having children, my bounce back times are quicker. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah. I don't know. And I'll give you an example of it. Oh gosh. 21st of December 2016 is the day that I got a phone call. No, I didn't get the phone call. All right, December 20th, 2016, I got a message on Facebook from my grandmother's neighbor in Grenada that my grandmother had fallen down and she'd hurt herself. And so I, got on the phone to her, and I called all of her siblings. They all called her. My mom called her. My children spoke to her. Everyone spoke to grandma. And then she spoke to me again. And she told me the doctor was coming that later on that day. I said, all right, Gran, make sure you call me back. Let me know what the doctor says. She calls me back. And she had spoken to all her siblings by then, and she had spoken to all the family. And then I was the last person that she spoke to. And she said to me, well, Nay, your grandma's heading to the grave. My gran, for God's sake, stop it. What's the matter with you? Why are you talking like that? Stop it. She told me, I said, what did the doctor say? She told me, and this is something she told me, she didn't tell anyone else. She said that what she described as a dinky heart. And I don't know exactly I don't know what she really meant by that, but she said there was some problem with her heart. Her brother, all her brothers are medical people, doctors or whatever. She didn't tell them any of that, but she told me that. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her. The next time we got a phone call, she had gone. And Paul, I was broken. But I couldn't be as broken as I felt because my children. And obviously my gran is someone who's been there all my life, So losing her was the most painful thing. And I wanted to cry for months on end. That's how I felt. I felt like if I could just be left alone, for God's sake, to cry myself to sleep in a room for about a week, a month, a year, I would have been happy to do that. But I couldn't do it. It's like I physically couldn't, because I had these babies to look after. So yeah, they saw me shed a tear or two, but they didn't see me like how I felt. And it's almost as though, I don't know, there was something that wouldn't allow me to get to that stage of, the cowboy and but that's what I wanted to do, because that's how I felt. That's how I felt, but I couldn't get there. And so I've found that since having these kids, bounce back. They keep me going. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the fact. I bounce back quicker now. So what would have troubled me for weeks? Now, next day, all right, I'm back. Let's go.
Do you think you need therapy for some of that stuff?
Probably. Yeah. Especially, I would say what Shay, the
trauma piece, whatever Shay said.
yeah, whatever
Yeah.
she said about the trauma piece.
Mm-hmm.
That is I know that is a trauma-based response.
Yes.
Why have I never spoken about it fully? Because protecting someone else. The reason why I think I didn't reach out and get any professional help at the time is because I was worried that by opening up my mouth and sharing the truth could lead to someone being incarcerated. And I couldn't have that on my conscience. So I would rather carry the burden, carry the memory loss, keep you safe and out of jail, and I deal with the rest.
You know, I know this is your interview. Sorry, my foot hurting. I know this is your interview, but you know, today I was having a conversation with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
About that keeping silent thing. That keeping silent piece, which helps everybody else, but it doesn't help me because my truth is still, it can never be expressed. It's not articulated. It's never given space.
Yeah.
It can't. Nobody can help me then because I've not told my truth.
No.
And I guess it's that speaking of truth that in part you don't realize how liberating it can be. Because there's friends that we know that who've been through traumatic experiences, and they're not able to tell their truth. Or the moment time they open their mouth and start to tell their truth, what comes out is the most beautiful, contradictory mess.
Yeah.
But it is so perfect.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. Now, I want to read you a couple of things.
Go on.
So, and I'm going to start with May is compassionate. She wears her heart on her sleeve. Ambitious, will not settle for anything but the best. A mummy role model, loving, will give and do what needs to be done for her babies. A loving, strong black queen. Innovative, waymaker, dependable, loyal friend. There's only one May.
Paul, this was not part of the plan. So I don't know what you're doing.
We breaking the plan. How'd you receive that?
Gosh, how do I receive that? All right. First reaction. Well, you saw my face.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Let me read you some more.
Oh gosh.
We're going to unpick all of those responses, right? Tenacious, entrepreneurial, passionate, generous, fearless, driven, and unapologetic. Determined, caring, loyal, and consistent.
Shut up, Phoebe.
So?
It's a bit awkward, Paul, man.
No, you did say don't go easy on you. You see, Nate, if we can't, for the last 18 weeks. Yes, indeed, yeah. For the last 18 weeks, we've listened to other people articulate their goals. We've heard people talk about who they are and so on. So now it's your turn.
Trying to drink my water.
So now it's your turn. And the important part is that you recognize your initial responses so that they resonate with us, who are also at times in conflict. We know there's greatness inside of us, but then there's also the other part.
Yeah.
Well, you just gave us the ability to see your other parts, and now you've got to explain it.
Explain what? You what?
I could read them one more time.
No. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is explain. What do you want me to do? I don't understand. What do you want me to do?
I need to understand your first response, including your hand movements, and why. Why, before we can get to right, peepees, before we can understand and really appreciate the greatness that we've experienced. So explain to me what that first thing was.
When people, okay, this is the truth, and it may not make sense, but it's the truth.
Okay.
So you guys know by now, I've got no problem. I can stand up in front of a crowd of 1 million people and I will talk and I will articulate myself well and I will be confident. Fine. But when that is true.
That is a truth. Agreed.
When people start doing that to me, and it feels like it's hot. Like hot. I want everyone to stop looking at me. I'm gonna need everyone to stop looking at me. Can we do something else? Talk about something else, please.
Would you want a fan?
Yeah, trust me. If I had a fan in here, I would have used the fan. Trust me.
Did you have a fan there?
That's a part of. I think that's a part of the whole imposter syndrome thing. Mm-hmm. Finding it difficult to receive praise and compliments. Paul, if you were to, okay, here's an example. If anyone, some of my friends who are on here, my good friends, Phoebe saying yes, sweat. Some of my good friends who are on here will remember years ago, me sending out an email asking for them to talk to me about my flaws. This is going back years. And Paul, I know I would have sent you that email as well.
And you not have replied.
And I will invite criticism. Tell me how I can be better. Tell me what I can do to improve. Listen, if you send me an email of criticism, if you were to read out, Naomi's got a bad attitude sometimes. Her tongue is too sharp. She's impatient. If you were to read that, I would be like, yeah. But the imposter syndrome thing flares up, and when the flip side comes and the compliments come, I don't know how to receive it. Why don't I know how to receive it? Because maybe it's that whole thing, not I, but Christ. Maybe it's that. Maybe there's a bit of that in it. And that's that whole church thing where, you shouldn't be proud. You shouldn't be boastful. You shouldn't, you should be humble. Yes.
Mediocrity.
Embrace that mediocrity. Don't be too good. Don't be too bad. Don't be too bad and embrace yourself, but don't be too good and pass your place. When you come off the platform and you finish singing and people want to tell you, oh my gosh, Paul, you sang amazing. And you're not supposed to say thank you. No, it's. So I think I think I've been conditioned to not accept praise.
It's so interesting because this is how much of a contradiction you're living at the moment. because your contradiction is, despite that being there and being present, even up to the 27th of September 2020, yeah? But for the last 3 weeks, you've been in the press. Isn't that a beautiful contradiction?
Is it a beautiful contradiction? I don't know. Is it a contradiction? Definitely.
Well, you've spent 30-something years shrinking, and despite your innate shrinkage, and despite the fact that on the 27th of September 2020, you still have an automatic response.
Yeah.
The last few weeks in the press, yeah?
It's weird.
It's a beautiful contradiction. Isn't that okay?
Well, it has to be. Has to be okay. I can only be me, Paul. And within me, it's all okay. So there is a part of me who wants to spread my wings, as one of the comments has just said. Yeah. Who wants to spread my wings, who wants to be recognized for her good work, who wants to be recognized and applauded for the things that I do really well. But then at the same time, when you give that to me, oh, no, it's too much. Sure. But I don't feel like that if I get mentioned in The Guardian or in The Telegraph or if I'm on BBC News. It doesn't feel like that. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
This is why I call it a beautiful contradiction.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, our lives have always been a bit of a contradiction, frankly.
Yeah.
Our lives are all, because no life is ever straightforward.
No.
One of the things you taught me in this whole life lesson series, you get to choose. And I reserve the right to change my mind.
Yeah.
And I may not be the same person, or you may not have the same automatic response in 5 weeks' time when you restart the interviews. Woo! Yes.
Keep going.
you know, next year when you do another interview, you might not have the same response. But for today, it's a beautiful contradiction.
Yeah.
Because you're still walking forward.
Yeah.
And yet you still got some of the stuff lagging from behind.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely perfectly okay on the 27th of September 2020.
Paul, it's part of what makes me human.
That's right. That's all, the end.
That's it. That's full stop. I am human first.
Yeah.
So, you might see me and you might think, I've had, super mom, super this. Human. Which means sometimes I am a beautiful mess.
Yes.
Which means I reserve the right to be the masterpiece and the work in progress.
Yes, at the same time. That same damn time. Life lesson. Go and get you all pen. Say that one more time.
I reserve the right
to
be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same damn time.
Yes.
And I'm not going to apologize for it, Paul. And so that's why people may see things or experience things from me and it doesn't quite make sense and it doesn't quite fit. Just know I'm just as human as you are.
Yep, agreed.
If you cut me, I will bleed.
Yes.
If you push me, I will fall over. If you cuss me, I'm going to cuss you back.
Yes, you will.
Yes, I will. I will. Yeah. And I'm comfortable with that. But I'm also, as you said, on a journey to, it's a refining process. I'm trying to be better and better every day. And not better than Paul, not better than Alethea, not better than Keisha, not better than Althea. I'm trying to be better than the woman I was yesterday.
Jesus. Life lesson. I'm tapping the laptop and I don't know what. That is it.
I'm not in competition with you, Paul.
Right.
You're in your lane and I can cheer for you. I'm in my lane and I can cheer for me as well. I remember when I used to feel frustrated that so I would see people around me doing things, right? And they're making their progress and they're doing their thing. And I would be frustrated that I maybe couldn't move as fast as them, or I couldn't be as impactful as them. And then I had to stop and realize, hold on, Naomi, why are you comparing yourself to people who you can't be compared to? I have got my path. I've got my two crazy kids who have double crossed me big time because they told me they were going to come on the show today. But I've got those two, and I'm juggling what I have to juggle with that. And someone else is doing their thing. They might not have that parental responsibility, or maybe they do, and maybe their kids are older, or maybe they've got they have even more children than I do. Like, okay, Althea, I hope she don't mind me talking her business, but she's someone who, yes, that's right, Alpha. I am in my own damn lane. It's true. And let me tell you, Althea is someone that I'm so proud of. I will forever sing her praises. When I first met Althea, I think she had 5 children when I first met her. I'm getting confused. I think she had 5 children when I first met her. And I've watched this woman overcome. Like, I've watched her struggle. I watched her literally cry her eyes out and persevere. I watched this lady send her baby back home to Jamaica so that she could finish her studies and go on and to do what she had to do. I've seen her make those sacrifices in order to give her children the life that she's able to give them today. I don't compare myself with her. Althea's lives can't compare.
No.
They can't compare. But I'm so proud of this woman when I see her winning, when I see her listen, and I can't even go into everything because I'm not exposing the girl's business like that. But trust me, this girl has a powerful story and she's overcoming, and she has overcome, and she's still out there. My point is, it doesn't matter what cards you have been dealt in this life. Whatever cards you have been dealt with, that's your lot. That's what you've got to deal with. So there's no point belly aching, whining and complaining. Oh, woe is me. Oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah, you're human. You might have those moments, but what are you going to do about it?
That's right.
You get up and you keep on going. Yeah. You make it happen regardless. Yeah. I'm not in competition with Serena. I can celebrate with Serena when she wins, just in the same way how she will celebrate when I win as well. We're not in competition, even if we were doing the exact same thing. I always tell people, my clients especially, no one else in this whole world is quite like you. And that is your power.
Yeah.
So, Paul, listen, there could be 10 people out here trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. I might, and let me be honest, I'm human, yeah? So I might look and think, Phoebe, what's going on? Like, hold on, what's going on over there? But here's what I do know. You can't do it like me.
Yeah.
Just like I can't do it like you. And that's okay. It's all right. I'm in my own lane.
You know, that's not without putting you under pressure.
Go on.
There is a message there there is a special message for women in what you've just said.
Okay.
There is a special message because so many women are so damn powerful, but because the journey has been a bit of a mad thing, they can sometimes lose their shine.
Yeah.
And we need them to know that it's because of the journey why you can shine.
Absolutely. That's it. It's about the process.
About the process. And you can afford to at times be beautifully contradictory.
Yeah.
You can at times do that. You will have to keep yourself in check, but you can be beautifully contradictory as long as you are moving forward.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter the speed either.
Yeah.
The speed is like sometimes we get worried about how fast or how slow. No. That's not what's important. It's about continuing to take one foot and place it in front of the other. And like I always say, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you might be literally or figuratively on your hands and your knees, crawling, dragging yourself forward. But as long as you keep going, eventually you're going to get there. Wherever there is, eventually you will. And it is only death that can stop you. And here's the thing.
I like Granny.
But here's the thing, Paul. Even if death does stop you, at least you died trying. And that's what gives me such great comfort. You know, when I think about my legacy and what I want to be remembered for, listen, I've got massive dreams. Yeah. I've got my vision board. I know what I want for my future. My dreams are bigger than I am. My dreams are so big that they scare me at times. And here's the fact of the matter. Part of my life's mission, and you may have heard me say this before, my personal mission statement is to become the very best version of myself, to die empty, to realize my potential, and to inspire and empower others to do the same. The most important part of that for me is dying empty. Paul, I am not interested in going to my grave with all of this inside me. That's why, and I say this, I've said this on my social media time and time again. When you guys see me out here doing the most, mind your business. Don't worry about me, you know. Don't worry about me.
Right.
Don't worry about me when you see me out here doing the most, when you see me out here trying to get into every news outlet, when you see me out here building this business, this empire, when you see me out here doing the most, please mind your business. Because I recognize, Paul, that my time is limited. I understand that one day I will become a memory. Yeah. One day I will not be here in the flesh like this. One day I will be no more. One day, whatever I have done, that's it. That's the end. The chapter ends. Close the book. It is finished. And so I know that I want people, when they do remember me, first of all, I want to be remembered. I don't want to be one of those people that you just forget. Oh, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, she was here. Oh, well, no. I want to be remembered, and I want to ensure that I'm remembered for good things, not even good things, for great things, not even great things, outstanding things.
Come on.
But Paul, I know I cannot build a legacy on what I was going to do. So therefore, I must get out of my own way and go and do it. And it's that simple. I can't give up. I can't afford to get comfortable or get complacent with impressing my little buddies around me who are gonna any stupid thing I do, they're gonna clap and say yes, nay. I can't settle for that. You know, I can't. I have to go all out. I have to be asking myself, nay, are you crazy? What are you doing? Like, I need to have that feeling all the time, Paul. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm living. So I'm out here doing the most. I know I am. I'm going over the top. I know I am. I know that.
You spent so many years, you know, dumbing yourself down. Like, come on in.
It's done now. And the shift, the transformation happened in this 2020. This is why I say to people that 2020 has been the best year of my life. Usually when I say that, there's a little caveat attached. And I will talk about, oh, it's been a terrible time. And, oh, people have suffered and people have died and da-da-da-da-da. That is, all of that is true. But Paul, you see, for me right now, the pandemic woke me up. The pandemic helped me to realize that I've been playing small for far too long. And that, look, do you know what it was? I saw Althea, I saw her. Listen, I remember when this woman rang me from hospital, and I thought, oh my God, I might never see this girl again. I swear to you, that is exactly what I thought. She contracted the virus, and the way I've never, in all the years that I know this girl, I've never seen her or heard her like that before. She sent me a picture of herself and I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And I just thought, hold on a minute. If that could happen to her, that could happen to me. And if I were to be breathing my last now, what have I got to show? Potential. That's dead. No. And so now I've got a sense of urgency. Paul, I've got things to do. I've spent 33 years, 33 years shrinking, playing small, being average, mediocre, and being okay with that. It's all changed now. It's all changed. So for anyone who's watching, if I've been getting on your nerves, if I've been frustrating you, if I've been infuriating you, if I have been pissing you off, this is a warning. There's a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Yes.
Watch this space.
I'm about to piss you off some more.
Trust me.
Wow. So tell me, what's your plans then? What's your post? In fact, I don't even know what that means. What is your post 2020 plans? What can we expect from you?
Expect more of the same, more of this. The stuff that you've been seeing between May and now. See this as level 0, as the foundation. I'm going to be more intentional with the lives that I'm trying to impact. I'm going to be running more courses. I'm going to be putting myself out there even more than I already am. I'm going to be striving to be everything that I can be and doing it all really well. I'm going to be seeking to build up and acquire financial wealth. And I'm being very aggressive and intentional about that. And I make no apologies for that. I had a conversation with my dad, I think it was yesterday, about this. And I said, Dad, I'm out here trying to make a hell of a lot of money. That's part of it. Like, I'm not embarrassed about that anymore. There would be a time when I'd be, no, humble, humility. Oh no, that's going out the window now. Because I don't believe that I was gifted with all of this to just sit down and be mediocre. I think that would be a slap in God's face, personally. I'm out here trying to change the world and trying to give my children the world as well. So yeah, I'm going for it all, Paul. Everything. And I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud on the big internet.
The big internet, the World Wide Web.
And do you know what I recognize that means, though? I recognize that means that not everyone can come with me. And I know that means that I will lose some people along the way.
Yeah.
In fact, I already have lost people along this journey in these last few months. And I thought it would be devastating. And yeah, there was a sting. But when I picture everything that I'm going for, those losses, I'm sorry, they fade into insignificance.
There's a lot of people that will probably be watching this who are going through really hard times at the moment because of COVID and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What's your kind of words of wisdom to them as they negotiate and manage these difficult times? And possibly set to get more difficult, eh?
Number one, brace yourself.
Brace.
Yeah, that's the reality. You're right. Like when I hear the chancellor's announcements, and brace yourself, because I don't want my dad to hear this one day, but stuff is about to get real. Yeah. But also, you reserve the right to choose. And now, okay, let me just, I need to just put something in here. I am not talking about fully able-bodied people who, that's not, if you have some form of physical disability or some sort of ailment that physically prevents you from doing certain things, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about those of us who are in our right mind, perhaps, who
sometimes,
who are able-bodied, who, if we are being honest with ourselves, are choosing to give in. You have a choice to make. Paul, at the beginning of this pandemic, and I said it before, I made a choice that I decided that I was going to come out of this period as a winner. All of us have the capacity to make that choice. And you know what? I take back what I was saying. I take that all back. When the little excuses that I was giving about, not in your right mind, able-bodied, rubbish. That's all. Ignore that. That was crap. What that I was just talking. What I'm talking now is the truth. Every single one of you, regardless of what your situation is, has a choice. You can choose to allow your situations to control you. You can choose to allow these circumstances that are outside of your control to be the determining factor as to whether or not you fail or succeed. Or you can choose that no matter what, I will overcome. No matter how hard it gets, I am going to persevere. No matter how challenging things are, I am going to make it. It starts with a decision. I made that decision back in March, and I promise you, the transformation that I have experienced in the weeks since then has been, I can't even put it into words how incredible it is. And I wish I could package it and give it to everyone so you could experience what it's like on the other side of your fear. So I want to challenge every single person as we finish out this year. You need to finish this year strong. I don't care how bad 2020 has been. It may have wreaked havoc on your own life. I know we've got people on here right now who have suffered during this time, but they are still smiling. They are still pushing on. I know that there are people on here who now are at a stage, because of what they have gone through, who will do one day's work and literally need another day in bed to recover, but they are still pushing on. And I've got respect for that sort of graft. I've got respect for it, Paul. So I would say to every single person out there, choose, make your decision. What do you want? Either you decide that you're going for this, that you're playing to win, or you are deciding that you're going to sit on the sidelines and you're going to watch life pass you by and you're going to miss this opportunity to make something great of yourself. Don't rob yourself of that opportunity. If you realized how and understood and appreciated how precious time is, you wouldn't be making the wrong choice. And so I want to say to you, even if you previously have been making the wrong choice, the fact that you are breathing right now is proof that you have got another chance, is proof that there is still time to change this thing around. You may not be able to change your destination overnight. However, you can change your direction in an instant. If you are going down a path and it is leading to destruction, hello, this is the sign. Stop.
Hello.
Like, this is the sign. Stop. Turn around. Choose a different path. Start your journey again if you have to. Whilst you have breath in your body, take advantage of that and go out there and be great. Do what you can with what you have. There was something that I shared the other day, I can't remember, maybe it was on Saturday or so. It was a quote that I had come across that someone asked me, share my favorite quote. My favorite quote at the moment is, do it scared, do it broke, do it in imperfection, do it when people don't even understand, do it anyway. Because Paul, oh my goodness, like, I swear to you, that is exactly what I've been doing. You see, when I first started, when I first started this journey in March or so, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Phoebe will tell you that first Facebook Live that we did, them that were trying to talk to me, I had to tell guys, please stop talking to me. Like, the stress that I was under, I was so terrified. I was filled with fear. I didn't think anyone was going to show up. I didn't think anyone was going to care. I didn't think anyone was going to be interested. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was making it up as I go along, right? Mm-hmm. But Paul, I look back on that time now. That first session that we did, we had over 5,000 people watch that. Yeah. We had over 5,000 people. And that was what I needed to show me, actually, Naomi, you've got a lot more going on here than you're giving yourself credit for. So stop whining, belly aching, playing small, and viewing things through a messed up, a warped lens. Stop. Because this is only your fault. Like, what got you to that stage may not have been your fault. Yeah. You may not have been responsible for the damage that was inflicted on you. But my God, it is your responsibility to heal, to get yourself together and get onto the right track. That is your responsibility. And I'm saying that to everyone. And I'm saying that, this is some tough love right now. Life may have happened to you. You may have been treated unfairly. You may have been disrespected. You may have been betrayed. You may have been abused. All manner of rubbish may have happened to you, and it was not your fault. No one is blaming you, but it's your responsibility. If you are an adult, if you are over the age of 18 and you pay bills, it is your responsibility to sort yourself out, because no one is coming to your rescue. They're not. Like, it's just not that time anymore. Like, Paul, I'm busy trying to sort out me and mine. Like, yes, Althea, I love you, but if you don't want it, I can't drag you and my kids and myself. I just physically cannot do it. Do you know what I mean? And so the choice is yours. You can choose to get up and run, or you can choose to sit there and allow life to run over you.
My word this week that I just found myself repeating to friends, you get to choose.
Yeah.
And that ability to think like that it's like a light bulb awakening, because you get to choose and you don't have to play small.
No.
I could choose to play big.
Yes.
I could choose to go in and it's my choice.
Yes. Be intentional.
Yeah,
Choose.
totally. On Friday, I did this piece of work, and the client, I was in the client meeting, and they were talking, and I was talking to them about being intentional about their plans and so on. And I said to them, you get to choose. And you could see the light bulb go on when they understand that they get to choose. Yeah. And that is all part of being intentional. Absolutely.
When you realize that, you take back your power, Paul.
Yeah. I reclaim it.
Back your power. Too many of us, and I'm speaking to, there are some people who I am speaking to you personally, and I know your story, and I'm talking about you, yeah? And self-included. We have been giving our power away to people who don't deserve it, to people who don't know how to handle or treat us, and to people who will take us for granted and therefore mistreat us. Take your power back. Take it back. It is yours. And go out there and be great. Be amazing. I believe that we've been all gifted with this seed of potential. It is your responsibility to cultivate it, to grow it, to look after it, and to allow it to mature. Because you have a gift to give to this world. The world is waiting for you to show up. Like I said, you are the only person who is quite like you, and that is your superpower. But with that superpower comes super responsibilities. Yeah. And part of that divine or super responsibility is that you have something that you need to birth in this world. I have something that I need to birth in this world. And so for 33 years of playing small, or for some of you 40, 45, 50 years of playing small, you are robbing yourself and you are robbing humanity. And how dare you? How dare I do this? We got to decide today, it's time. Like, we're not doing this anymore. We're taking back the power. We're taking back control, and we are running with it. And we are running all the way to the finish line. My finish line, Paul, may look different to your finish line, but I am determined that by the time I breathe my last, I would have completed my mission here on this earth. And if there was anything that I wanted people to remember, if you forget, if we never ever get to speak again, if we never ever get to meet again, if you forget everything that I've ever said, I want you all to remember that you have your mission. You have a seed. You have something. You have something that you're meant to do here. Like, your life means something. It might not seem like it. It might not even feel like it right now, but you have something special that only you can bring into this world the way that you can. Only you are able to reach a certain demographic, a certain type of people. They're waiting for you to show up.
Yes.
So go ahead and do it. It might be scary. You might not know exactly how to do it, but take the first step, and then take another step, and then take another step. And even if you don't see that whole staircase, I promise you it will appear as you keep going. If you're going towards, I remember one time we were in Grenada, and my children are really young. I've been traveling with my kids from early. Oh, hey, Royston. We were in Grenada. Can't remember where, if it was the airport or what, but we were waiting somewhere, and my children were fascinated with the automatic doors. They were blown away by the fact that if you walk up to this door, before you get there, it opens. Listen, these kids were driving me insane, opening and closing this damn door. But there's a powerful lesson even in that opening and closing door. There are so many of us who are approaching the door, but because we see it ahead of us and the door's closed, we can't take shame, right? So we don't want to go up to the door and then the door stays closed and we look shame, we look stupid, yeah? So we stay a safe distance back. We see other people walk in and the door's opening for them and they're going through into their greatness, but we are stuck here because we feel shame, or we don't want to feel shame, or we don't want people to talk about us, or we don't really think the door will open. But listen, the only way the door is going to open is if you take those steps.
Absolutely.
Something happens, there's a trigger. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know the technology behind it, how these automatic doors work. But I know it must be something along the lines of, as you step, whether it be your weight that triggers something, whether it be a sensor that picks up something, those doors open. And that is true of life. As you are on your journey, as you're on your mission, there are obstacles in your path. There are doors that are closed before you. You need to march up to those doors boldly. You need to go send that email. You need to go and write that proposal and submit that proposal. You need to make that phone call. You need to put out that project. You need to do whatever it is that you have been holding yourself back from doing. Go and do it, because time is running out and one day it will be too late. Paul, I'm not one of those coaches that tell you, oh, you will always have time. It is never too late. Rubbish, rubbish, rubbish. Whoever told you that is a liar. It's not true.
A liar.
They're a liar, Paul. They're lying, One day it will be too late. How do I know? I know because my body doesn't work now as well as it did when I was 16. When I am 60, I'm pretty sure my arms and my legs won't work as well as they do now at 33. we're declining. Yeah. This is science. This is basic science. We are not living forever. These bones are going to get brittle one day. Do you know what I mean? One day it's going to be too late. So while you have breath, while you have time, while you have energy, go for it. Go for it. Go. Open that door. Let your weight trigger the thing and let the doors open and go through. And go and birth your vision. You owe it to yourself and the rest of humanity. Paul, we've been talking for 2 hours. I'm going to shut up now.
How can people join you on this journey?
Can people join me? Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, let me give you an example. I'm sure I saw Debbie on here a little bit earlier. She's one of the ladies that had joined me when I was doing my my group coaching program over a period.
Yeah.
Say that again.
That's what I was talking about, your group coaching.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let me just talk to you about quickly. During lockdown, from May the 3rd or the 5th or something like that, for a period of 12 weeks, I worked with a group of people, a group of men and women who were on a mission to transform their mindset. Yeah. They started from having an idea, a concept, something that they wanted to birth. And one lady for 3 years, she'd been trying to get her business off the ground. And she worked with us for 12 weeks. And Paul, today, this woman is generating an income from this business idea that she had 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that to boast or to show off or anything like that. I'm talking to you about the power of accountability. I'm talking to you about the power of working with someone who has a vested interest in your success. It yields results. There are people on here, you know, I said it earlier today, I'll say it again. Debbie, someone I'm so proud of. You know, when Debbie and I first started working together, it was an idea. It was a concept. I'm so proud now when I go onto this woman's website and I can order some of her clothes from her own brand that she's made herself. She's created something out of nothing. And it's exciting to think that people can do this. And these are normal people. These are not people with 2 heads, 4 arms, 10 legs. No, they are normal people just like you who had a vision and who committed to taking action, who worked with me and went with me on this journey for a period of 12 weeks and are doing amazing things. I'm so proud of every single one of them. And so I'm opening up doors again. I'm going to get the promo and stuff out, but I love this, Paul. Like, this is what I was put on this earth to do. Like, I was made for this. I was born to do this.
When does it come out?
When? Okay. Let me tell you the facts right now. I started off with this. My children have been off school for the past 2 weeks because of sickness. Their school has just been closed because of confirmed cases of COVID for another 2 weeks. I've been slowed down. Okay. So I don't have a date yet. But listen, I'm so serious about this. Even if it takes me 2-3 weeks longer than originally planned, it will come out. So as long as you're connected to me on social media or my website, you will see it and you can get involved, because we're out here trying to change lives. We're not playing small anymore. We're playing to win.
Nay, thank you so much for the last 18 weeks. Thank you for sharing your own knowledge and sharing your space with other inspirational people. Thank you for giving us the space to be able to let other people see that they can do it too.
Yeah.
And thanks for finally standing in your greatness. I'm so damn proud of you. I'm so damn proud of you. I hold you in the highest esteem that I can. And it's just the most beautiful thing to see, Nay. I don't want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Babe. Love you, babe.
Love you too.
So that's the end of 18 weeks, Nay.
Wow.
Going on holiday, are ya?
trying to. I'm trying to. If I am not in Ghana for Christmas, I will be crying, weeping, wailing, gnashing of teeth, all of that. If you guys see me in England for Christmas, know that I'm upset. I'm trying to get out of here.
We appreciate you, Nay. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your value. And we're all rooting for you too.
Thank you. I got to thank everyone, man. Honestly, this has been a crazy journey. But it's one that I'm excited about. And when you see the passion or whatever, it's not fake. Oh my God, it's so real, because I know what it's like to live for decades almost under a bridge. That's what it feels like, living under a bridge, hiding your light, and then finally giving yourself permission to just be. It is so, I don't have the words to articulate. So thank you.
So we're going to sit and watch. And we want to see everything that you're doing and be part of it too. There's enough space for all of us to eat.
There is. There's enough space for all of us. And I want to see all of these people winning.
Yeah.
Keisha, Althea, Phoebe, Serena, Alethea, Debbie, Joanna, Shay, Royston. Why did I start doing this?
I don't know, because you're going to offend somebody.
Ellen, all these names.
We love you, Nay.
Love you too.
Thank you very much for everything. And we'll see you on the other side.
Indeed. Yeah. Stay tuned, guys. There's a whole lot more coming. Yeah. It's been great. Thanks, Paul. And thank you, everyone.
See you later.
See you guys.